Welcome to Kung Fu Habit number 2. This video will have a tiny bit of martial arts in it, but more importantly, I'm going to talk to you about the black belt system first. Alright, as a martial artist, I'll be the first to tell you that first and foremost, when you go into a dojo, only 30% of what you learn is going to be effective when you get outside of the dojo. So unless you live in a horrible, hardcore ass neighborhood where you have to fight to leave the damn house and fight to come back to your house, 30% of what you learn is what you're going to need. Now, in this situation in which I just spoke of, 45%. No. Because 9 times out of 10, most people are more afraid to fight you than to just threaten you and scare you. That's kind of what most people do. However, if you fight back, it's kind of a scenario kind of thing. You know, if it's like a one-on-one and you're not getting jumped, okay. If you're getting jumped, okay. Which still goes back to that 30%. 40% if you're unlucky, you know, because you got jumped, which means you need that 40% to survive that shit. But 9 times out of 10, 30% of what you've learned is going to be what you use outside of the dojo. Alright, let us begin. So we have a system of belts, and it depends on whether you're taking karate or kung fu. Most of the times, if you're doing kung fu, you're not getting any belts. You're getting sashes. They're pretty much the same concept, though. Now, if you're getting into karate, and most martial arts that are karate based or in some capacity of karate, the belt system kind of starts like this: white, 7th degree white, yellow, 7th degree, etc., etc., etc. And then after you get to your black belt, after you become 6th or 7th degree, supposedly you can't go any higher, so you start becoming Dans or Dans or whatever the fuck you want to call them. I pretty much call that as bullshit, because a belt does not prove that you are a good fighter. It just proves that you have rank in your class. Let me explain that for those who missed my video earlier, because the video didn't really get recorded. It started to get recorded, but the camera on this computer died, so that video didn't get posted. That's why I'm making this video right now, to make up for that video that I was filming outside earlier with my bound hands and not being able to complete that video. Now, after you get so far in the black belt society, you start going up master, master 1, etc., etc. I don't really know how far that goes, because I don't really give a shit about that shit, because first and foremost, you're not my master. You might be the sensei or the sifu of the school, but I am my own master. Understand that as a martial artist, you will be your own master at some point, at some time in your career. If you go professional, you know what I'm talking about. I never got the chance to go professional, because it wasn't until I was 37 when the UFC finally had the 120-pound weight class. And now that I'm 7 pounds too high and I have a hip replacement, no fight company is going to give me a job, unless they give me a job as a coach or something. And I'm gladly open to taking that, but I want good money. And I also want access to the gym 24 hours a day. I don't want no restrictions outside of this COVID bullshit. I want full access to that gym. Full access. So that way I can train whoever I'm going to train the way I want them to train. The way I would have trained when I was their age. Hopefully that makes sense. So, belts. White, yellow, green. Sometimes it's orange, then green. Sometimes it's green, then orange. Then you got blue, brown, red, and black. And every school has a different system, so if I have offended anybody with that, I'm sorry. But it is true. Every school has a different system. Some of them take certain color belts out, so you kind of got to figure that shit out, you know. But for the most part, you start with a white belt and you end with a fucking black belt. And that part is apparent. That's like one of the things that has not changed. Zip it. It's not 11 o'clock yet. Anyway. So when you're in these belt systems, you have to understand, I got a belt too. It's doing its purpose. It's holding my pants on. Now, I have beaten black belts in sparring matches. I have beaten black belts in fights. So either I'm better than that black belt, I might have been having a good day, they may have been having a bad day, or, truth be told, I could just be that damn good. Or better yet, they could be just that horrible. Or better yet, fighting experience is everything. Alright? You can be a black belt in that dojo. You can be the baddest sumbitch in that dojo. And get out here in the streets and get your ass handed to you by someone like me. Someone who's been in the dojo, but someone who's fought more on the streets. Now, if you watch any of my videos, the first thing I tell you is the do's and don'ts of martial arts to fucking begin with. First, never get overzealous. Second, never underestimate your opponent and never overestimate yourself. In other words, don't get too goddamn cocky, because that can lead you to going to sleep. Alright? Nobody is so great that they can't be touched these days. Nobody. However, a wise warrior makes his opponent fight his fight, not try to fight his opponent's fight. See, if I bait you into my fight, ain't no way in hell I'm gonna lose. Unless I get distracted by a hot chick over here or a hot chick over there. As long as I stay focused on that fight, I ain't getting my ass kicked. But if a boob pop out, I'm going to sleep. And I'm going to be like, James, you was winning. How'd you lose? I saw titties. That'll be it right there. If I'm fighting somebody and I'm whipping their ass and 4 women behind the person whose ass I'm whipping pop out boobs. 2, 4, 6, 8. I got 8 titties that I'm going to be looking at. And I ain't never going to see that dude recover. And then I'm going to wake up in the hospital because I got distracted by titties. So, the moral of the story, stay focused on your fight. Never try to overpower somebody who's bigger than you. That's a stupid move. And they say that it's not the best thing. And now here's where I become a contradicting hypocrite. Zip it. In judo, you are taught how to overpower people who are bigger than you. But you are overpowering them with their own shit. If I push you, you pull me, you shift your weight, and you throw me. Judo, Class 101. Now, in some other judo where they teach you how to get out of being held in this, it is easier for me to kick your instep and throw you off of 1 foot versus 2 feet, especially if you're bigger than me. Now, the downside is if I don't do it fast enough or you shift your weight while you're in the air, we're both going down. Understand? I'm fighting my fight. I'm not fighting your fight. I'm doing what I know what works. Now, in Kenpo, they teach you about pressure points. You have 365 of them. 250 of them are fatal. Whether you choose to believe me when I tell you this or not, it's on you. But if done properly and correctly with certain martial arts, because you can use Kenpo while using mantis and snake and crane and tiger, and you can fuck somebody's shit up. In fact, in all animal styles, if you use Kenpo, you can fuck somebody's shit up. So you can combine your styles. So I got tiger, and I'm going to use some Kenpo pressure points. So I'm going to grab and I'm going to rake, and then I'm going to grab up here. I'm going to do what I need to do to survive this fight. Henceforth, if I'm fighting a black belt who does karate, and I go from tiger to dragon in kung fu while he's just going, karate, I got 2 styles to 1. So I need to bait his ass in. So if he throws a punch, boom. Now I've got this grip, broken elbow, slide down into the throat. So it'll be like this, unless I slide under, but then I'm going to have to twist my wrist. So slide under, twist the wrist. So it would look like I've wrapped around his arm and I've come under and grabbed his throat with the strap. Now the thing about martial arts is everybody teaches martial arts differently. And let me explain that before I do any demonstrations. 1, what my teacher taught me was taught by his teacher. But what his teacher taught him, he evolved it to teach me. And by evolving it to teach me, which means how he taught me how to do it, I can use on anyone else in the world except for that bastard. And this is why we do this, in case y'all don't understand how this works. Every now and again, I say this honestly because it's going to happen to you teachers out here. You're going to get a guy who has a raw hair up his ass. You're going to get a guy who may know a little bit more, a little bit less than you. He's going to try your ass because he thinks he's a badass. And that's when you take all your reserves off the line of, I don't want to fuck you up, kid. And you put it on the line of, not only am I going to fuck you up, but after I beat your ass, you're out of my school. You will always find one. Somebody in there that's going to be a hothead is going to want to fuck up the teacher. So, combo, words of wisdom. If you are a martial artist who wants to go around trying to fuck up your teacher, that can be really bad for you. Don't do it. So let me end this thing real quickly so I can take these dogs out and then come back and do another martial art video and then go do my words of wisdom in one of my superhero suits. The best thing I can tell you is that the belt system is in place for that exact reason. It is in place so that people who are hot-headed don't get overzealous. Oh, I got a yellow belt. That's a low-ranking belt on the totem pole. So now I got to get my green belt. Alright? See, these belts give you things to strive for. Now, just because you got those belts, don't make you a badass. Understand how this works. I got my yellow belt. I got my yellow belt. I get my green belt. I got my green belt. I got my orange belt, my blue belt, my brown belt, my red, and now I got my black belt. I'll kick you in the head. Hey, works for me, but I kick back. So understand that the belt system is also flawed. And this is the most important part of this video. This is the part where I piss off every martial artist on the fucking planet right now living today. I never got my first degree white belt, and I've beaten black belts. So, belt system, bullshit. Because that belt, yeah, it gives you rank in the school. But how much rank do you have on the streets because you have a zip it micro machine? Because you have a black belt. That doesn't mean you're a great fighter. It means you have great rank in that school. And you might be a great fighter in that dojo. You might be the top dog under the sensei. You might be the best of the best in that dojo. You get in that dojo, yo, I'm the baddest. Let me do a spinning back kick. Woo! Almost fell. These shoes are not good for this. Yo, word to the wise. Don't practice on slick shoes, on slick surfaces. So, you might be a badass in that dojo. But that's the dojo. You might get out in the street and come across that guy who thought he was bad Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole damn town. Better than a junkyard dog, meaner than all of y'all. But Leroy bumped into the one guy who was better than Leroy Brown. And his face looked like a jigsaw when it was done. Go Google the song. I'll probably listen to it later. But the point of the matter is, the system is fucked up. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if I've never gotten my black belt, or my white belt, or any belt, but I've beaten people who have belts, literally who have belts. Am I a charlatan? Am I a good warrior? Or am I just somebody who likes to fight? Or a combo of all three, but I have enough honor to know right from wrong. Because here's the thing. You can have a black belt. You can get the 7th degree black belt all you want. You can walk and rock that thing with pride. I got a black belt. I am the shit. Boom! Oh my God! I just kicked him in his dick. Hey. Think about fighting. People don't always fight right. They don't always fight fair. And your dojo doesn't prepare you for that. I am a strong believer that if you're going to have a belt, not only should you actually be able to fight for that shit, you should probably at least defend it twice. I know. You're thinking, that's like some wrestling shit. No. Think about that shit real quick. You get your 1st degree yellow belt, and you got to get a green belt next. Or you get your 7th degree yellow belt, because some people make it a certain amount of degrees just to keep your ass in one spot for a little bit of time, to make sure that you're mentally capable versus physically capable. But to be physically capable, you literally have to be mentally capable first. So, you got your 7th degree yellow belt, and the next guy up is a 7th degree green belt for you to get your 1st degree green belt. So if you can beat this 7th degree green belt, I don't think you should get a 1st degree green belt. I think you should get a 7th degree green belt. Y'all might not like that shit, but this is the way I feel. If I come in the dojo day one, and I go to your 7th degree white belt, and I whoop his ass if I make it a sweat, I should have my belt that day. I'm sorry. You don't agree with that? That's cool. Most martial artists aren't going to agree with that, except for me. So let's say I take a whole day and I get every one of your top martial artists Everyone's a 7th degree. You're 7th degree white, 7th degree yellow, 7th degree green, 7th degree orange, 7th degree blue, 7th degree brown, 7th degree red, 7th degree black. And I beat every last one in one day. So let's say I do that. I've earned those belts. With blood, sweat, and tears, I've earned those belts. Instead of doing Tosan. As you can see, I suck at katas, which is why I haven't ever earned a fucking belt. Fighting, that's something I can do. You don't have to do katas to fight. Zip it, Snoopy. You just need to be able to fight, But when it comes to these martial art things, for this belt system, there is no fighting for your belt. Now, you get to choreograph a fight scene, and you get to break a brick or a board, which absolutely has nothing to do with martial arts as far as I'm concerned. But the fact of the matter is, you have to do that shit to obtain a belt. I personally don't agree with that shit at all. I think that if you need a black belt, you should be able to fight for that black belt. And once you win, you can set some rules. We can glove it up or whatever. But, once you set some ground rules on that, the guy who I won against does not lose their belt. They don't lose their status. But I get black belt status. And I get to keep that shit. Especially if I do what I just said. If I come into a dojo and take a whole day, give me your top white belt. Bip, bip, down. Top yellow belt. Bip, bip, down. Top green belt. Bip, bip, down. Blue. Bip, bip, orange. Blue. Blue, black, whatever. If I take that in a whole day and beat all of your tops in that dojo, I'm not doing this shit for anything other than that belt. I should be able to get that belt. Every one of those guys I won against, they don't give me their belts, but I get the rank of that belt that they had. If you're 7th degree yellow belt and I come in, I kick you in the face, and we're gloved up, we're doing this thing, and it's like, you're going to fight for your belt. And I was like, all right, cool. So, like I said, if I go through each belt, white, yellow, green, blue, red, black, whatever, I ain't got time to go through all the memories of that shit. But if I can go through all those guys within that day, I should be able to get a black belt and have no ifs, ands, and buts said about it. But that's not how the system works. Again, so you might have to break it for Taekwondo. We had to do Tosan. I can't remember the form, but I know it's like punch there, punch there, punch there, and then we got to go back. Punch there, punch there, punch there. Yeah, we got to do some shit like that. In the Harate, which was like the Japanese version of Taekwondo, according to Mr. Ennis, we go ice cream scoop, punch, ice cream scoop, elbow, ice cream scoop, punch, ice cream scoop, punch, ice cream scoop, and block, kick, and some other shit that I couldn't get done right. Now, Mr. Ennis is no longer with us. He committed seppuku. But every time that I had class with him before my money ran out, it was always the same shit. I got punished a couple of times because I didn't call an 11-year-old sir when I first joined the school. The school was the Inner Stairway. It was a great school. I got no real complaints about it other than the fact that when I left, he asked me how would he improve his school. I said, there's no need to improve your school except for one thing. Let your students fight for their belts. He laughed in my face, thanked me, and said, I'll see you when you get yourself together and if you want to come back, And it wasn't like a sinister laugh or none of that shit. It wasn't like a fuck you laugh. It was more like, hey, look, I understand where you're coming from because you're young and you think that fighting for your belt will actually prove some points to you or whatever. And I said, it's not proving a point to me. It's letting me know that I actually can use the shit that you're training me in to fight. Because anything that you are teaching me that I can't use ain't helping me. I'm paying you $227 a month. Or $227 every 3 months or some shit. Either way, it was a lot of goddamn money. I don't want to go into a school and sit there and do all that shit and then get out in the street and then get up here and I throw a punch and somebody levels my shit. No, I need to know that I can fight. Because anybody can have a black belt and not be able to fight. You see where I'm going? The system is a system of control. So for all of you who have belts and all that other shit, I'm happy you have them. But the question is, do you know if you are good? Or is that belt false security? Hey, just think about it. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Be seeing you.